This is the Apparelist podcast, designed to bring you real-life conversation about high-level topics relevant to the decorated apparel community.
Welcome, everyone, to the final Apparelist podcast episode of 2023. And I'm not going to lie, that feels really strange to say. I'm sure most of you listening to this are, at this point, fully immersed in getting out those final orders for the holiday season. You're probably wrapping up year-end financials. If you're like me, you're trying to sneak in some last-minute Christmas shopping. I'm one of those people who likes to procrastinate and leave it to the end. So hopefully all of you are at least relaxing a little bit and not getting too crazy about those loose ends you have to tie up. I'm also thinking that many of you listening today are also starting to think about 2024. It's likely you already have an idea of what trade shows and conferences you hope to attend, what new equipment you have your eye on. Perhaps some of you are even thinking that this is the year you're going to knock out that wall in your office and make it bigger. Who knows, right? There's so much excitement surrounding looking into the future of 2024, and that's what we're focusing on today. Well, I'd like to tell all of you that I have this magical crystal ball that tells the future in my possession. That's something that continues to elude us all. But I have the next best thing. I have two industry experts that have a strong grasp on what it takes to run a successful business in the decorated apparel community. And guys, these two gentlemen joining us today, they're just so much fun to be around. And if you've been following our podcast at all through 2023, you know that both of them have a lot of really just expert insight into the world of the decorated apparel community. So without further ado, please help me welcome back to the show, David Clifton, who is the Chief Marketing and Customer Experience Officer at Alpha Broder, and Jeff Mylander, owner of Redwall Prints, and he's also an Apparelist Advisory Board member. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you
very much.
You know, I'm excited to talk 2024 with you guys. Both of you have a very interesting perspective of the decorated apparel community. Jeff, you from, the print decorating shop. David, you from the Alpha Broder supplier side of things. So this should be a really fun conversation. David, what do you think 2024 has in stock for all of us when it comes to styles, colors, cuts, all that good stuff?
Well, I will say that, and this may not be great news, but our merchandising team kind of teed up trends and things that are trending right now. And it looks like it is neon and 90s kind of coming back around the corner. Again, not great news for a lot of people, but for some, maybe you can bring some old stuff back out and repurpose it and get it going again. But yeah, so what's old is new again, looks like. So 90s neon, that kind of stuff, bright colors, things like that coming around.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I am pumped about that. Okay, I am of the camp. I am of the neon. I was a 90s baby. I'm here for it.
Yes. I was more of the 80s, so it's we're on the edge of that. So yeah. So good news for many, I'm sure, and frightening news for others. But so that's what our merchandising team has kind of teed up and said, this is what's trending right now and what's kind of coming around the corner. I think the other big kind of headline is sustainability. Sustainability has obviously gotten a lot of traction as it should, and is beginning to become more operationalized in business. And a lot of our customers talk about sustainability, but then when you come right down to it, it's like, well, how much is that shirt again? I'll save sustainability for another day. The good news is I think we're seeing a little traction there. We're seeing more pickup on sustainable products and items, which is great news. I mean, A, they're better products typically, and B, it's better for the environment. So it kind of serves two purposes, and I think it's better for brands as well. So hopefully 2024 will be a year of our customers putting their money where their mouth is and actually supporting sustainable products and different things like that are good for the environment and great for brands as well. So those are two kind of maybe big tent poles we've seen: neon and sustainability. So that's a sustainable neon would be the theme, maybe.
I love sustainable neon. That's new. Patent that. Trademark it.
Yes, there you go. Sustainable neon. You heard it here first.
Right. Jeff, are you kind of seeing that same thing from your customers? I mean, do you get these sorts of requests coming into your shop?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is just what we see coming through. I mean, primarily being a contract decorator, we see just what people are bringing in, what the distributors are are pushing onto either us or our customers, and just what they're seeing as being popular or whatever is going to be kind of the next trend, I suppose. And I do agree. I think we're seeing. I think we're still in the space of a lot of like the neutral colors and things like that. I mean, that still seems to be somewhat popular, but I am seeing a trend more towards just kind of like 90s and maybe early 2000s, kind of like almost like, yeah, like neon style, but even more kind of like when we talk about like cuts of shirts and things like that too. We're seeing a lot more requests and of like boxier shirts, like heavier weights, things like that really kind of does reflect like 90s and like maybe like real early 2000s kind of style. But then, yeah, definitely like bright colors, neons. We're seeing more neon designs. So like in customer artwork, we're seeing, I mean, that's always kind of been there, but like just the bright color, we're seeing more of that, kind of like 90s throwback, bright colors, neons, things like that. Like things like puff, like puff decoration, which really we didn't see a lot of for many years. And now that's kind of a common ask. So, and again, that kind of, I think like kind of fills in with the 90s vibe.
Interesting. Again, I know I said I was of the 90s camp. I'm not going to lie. Yesterday, straight up rocking like a big, boxy, heavyweight, bright green t-shirt with my leggings.
Yeah. So to Jeff's point, we are seeing that bigger, boxier kind of styles come around, talking to all the manufacturers heading into 2024. All of them have either added to or adding sort of a heavier weight products. Some of these fleas can actually stand up on their own. It looks like they are actually just put in a corner. They're on their own. Really being driven a lot by artists, music creators, people like that are really coming. You go to the shops that do a lot of the work for the artists, and the artists play a big role in picking their product. I mean, a lot of the artists that are out there, merch is a huge piece of their business, and it's a big piece of their brand. And so a lot of this is, I think, coming downstream from that, where these guys are out there picking these things are much heavier, much more old school. Again, more that 90s kind of like feel, shape, not as tight, not as cut as it was in the last maybe 5 or 6 years in fashion. So it's become kind of coming back around the corner there. So yeah, that plus neon, you can't wait.
What do we want to call that? Puff neon sustainability.
Yeah,
we'll come up with something.
Neon, sustainable puff neon. Yeah,
there you go. I love it.
The standing on its own, sustainable puff neon. Yeah. If it doesn't stand up on its own, it's not heavy enough. So good. Next.
So it seems to me. So when I think of like years past, I always think, okay, we all kept an eye on like New York Fashion Week, London Fashion Week, all these things. We sort of watched and waited and held our breath to see what they were going to tell us was trending. But it seems to me, after talking to you guys, we are seeing a lot of consumer driven trends and things. So David, you had mentioned consumers are asking for sustainable styles. Consumers are feeling this nostalgic, tug at the heartstrings, if you will, to drive these trends. I mean, are we really sort of seeing a shift as to what's driving the trends these days?
Well, I think, in our space in particular, I think, the fashion, it definitely is an influence. But I do think, particularly in our space of kind of like more promo and more event, more activity, it tends to be, I think, more, again, like artists and creators that are out there doing things that have a little bit more of a practical application than some of the more high fashion accents. I'd say that some of the high fashion can I think influence, but it's really more of a practical use case that I think drives ultimately what kind of gets to market in our space. And then again, the other piece is really the long tail of design, which we talked about print on demand and things like that. Well, I mean, we're seeing a lot of brands come out, a lot of apparel brands come out that are they're not massive. They're more long tail brands that are kind of focusing on these different kind of styles and fits, and they're not the major players. They're more smaller, more niche brands are coming out and serving up some really cool styles, and I think that's great. It's again kind of in line with like the long tail of everything, whether it's design or whatever. Now we're seeing apparel kind of fall in that category. It's cool.
Yeah, really. You mentioned print on demand, and that actually makes me think I kind of want to shift gears here a little bit. We talked about, styles and what's trending there, but Jeff, maybe from a decoration perspective, what are you really seeing in terms of technology? And this doesn't have to necessarily be like printing equipment. What is your shop exploring in terms of like new software, AI, decorating technologies, things like that? Like
Sure.
what do you have your eye on?
I kind of try to keep an eye on all of those things. We're big in the print on demand space, so our processing for that, just working on that technology and trying to improve upon it. And how that ties into the equipment as well. Expanding on the equipment is obviously something that we're always trying to do too. But on more the tech end, I suppose, not on the equipment side, it would be things like like increasing automation capabilities. We are looking into AI capabilities for like order entry and things like that. It's tricky to try to figure all that stuff out, but it's things that are becoming available, which we definitely want to keep an eye on. I think all the software companies out there that are making ERP systems for our industry are always advancing and getting better at what they do. Almost all of them, I feel like, are making advancements, and I know they're all talking about big things in 2024, or at least the ones that I'm close with. So I think that'll just continue just as it becomes more, it's just easier, more readily available. Programming costs have kind of probably shifted a little bit to make it a little easier for some of the smaller developers to maybe do some impressive things. So it'll be interesting to see what people come up with.
What are you doing to keep an eye on things? Because sometimes, like, I think a lot of apparel decorators can kind of feel overwhelmed with their day to day and trying to keep up on stuff. So, Jeff, what do you guys do? Do you, in terms of education resources, looking for stuff?
Yeah, I guess a lot of it's probably just kind of happens through, like, if I'm on message, or if I'm like email, whatever, just stuff that comes in. Social media, things like that, where you can kind of just keep up with, because people that are advertising, it kind of just finds its way and shows up in front of you. And then obviously just comparing what we currently use. Our ERP system, I'm very well aware of what they're working on just because we work with them on a day-to-day basis. But then in that, I want to see what their competitors are doing too, just to see if there's a solution that might be better for a certain thing that we're trying to do. Whether it's directly tied to the apparel decoration industry or just something that's in order management or inventory management, things like that. So a lot of systems out there. You just kind of have to dig around to see what's out there that might work for you.
One of the things I'm really excited about for 2024 is events, trade shows. We were talking about this before we hopped online to record this show. David, what do you think? What can we expect from trade shows this year? What are you most excited about for 24?
Well, it is a busy season. Obviously, we hit January and there's a lot of activity. I think again, I think it's great. I think as an industry, it's good that we continue to get together and continue to do these things. What we like best is just spending time with our customers and getting a chance to kind of catch up. We're talking to them all the time, but it's a good chance to just catch up with them and kind of map a plan for 2024, get a sense from them, how they're looking at the year, what they've got on their plates, how we can help with what they're doing. So yeah, we love it. We love the shows. I think we get a lot out of it. Like I said, it's mostly customers that we're spending time with, and it's interesting to see all the new products and all the new things that are out as well. But for us, it's really about just that touch base with our customers and spend some time with them and kind of hear from them in person, which is always nice.
Yeah, I know. Jeff and I were kind of chatting a little bit about the shows we're getting ready to go to in 2024. I feel like we preach this every year that going to these events and conferences is so crucial. Jeff, why do you think that is?
Even the point you just touched on, finding out what's new, like what software is new, but really what equipment is new, just what trends are new. All of that stuff. Everyone's trying to showcase those things and what they think are going to be big deals in 2024. So, I look at it like, my customers expect me to know what's going on in the industry. They're not necessarily going to be experts in print technology and apparel trends and things like that. We have to do that for them to a sense, right? So I kind of see it as our job to get out there and see what's going on so that we can educate them based on what we see happening in the market.
People always want to talk about what's new. At this point, people don't buy everything we sell either. So it's like, if you haven't bought it, it's new to you. So the chance to see some things that you get, our customers, just like all of us, get into a kind of a groove, and you kind of get kind of tunnel vision, and you don't really think about other things. So these shows give people a chance to kind of step back and look and see, what else is out there? What else should I be doing? And I think for us, it's our kind of to Jeff's point as well. We're kind of obligated to show our customers these things and say, hey, you should think about these 2 or 3 things. You're doing this. We appreciate that. You're doing great. But look at these 2 or 3 things. If you thought about combining this and this together. So we leverage it a lot for that kind of exploration element of it, to give people a chance to look outside of the day in, day out what they're doing, kind of like, instinctively they're doing these things over and over and over again. Have a look at these things that are also new. And
yeah, they can go to the show and see the sustainable puff neon heavyweight standing up in the corner, right?
Standing by itself in the corner. Just go talk to that fleece over there. It's great. That sweatshirt. That'll be next, probably. I know the Teddy Ruxpin fleece will be out.
I love it.
We'll talk right back to you.
All right. Final question. Let's start with you, David. Like I mentioned, it's always fun to do these little future predictions. So pretend you've got the crystal ball. What do you see? What is the one thing decorators, we've talked about lots of things to prep for 2024, what they can look forward to. If you could pick just one thing that you can say, yes, with absolute certainty, you need to be ready for this. What do you think?
Well, we touched on it. I think print on demand is, as we look out to the next 4 or 5 years, in the whole custom printing space globally and certainly in the U.S., print on demand is by far and away the fastest growing category of decoration. And again, print on demand is a pretty broad statement. So, and I'm sure Jeff would agree that there's not one definition to print on demand. But I think the general, I guess there's not one definition, but I would say the basic envelope it fits into is more real-time decoration and lower quantity decoration and more customized decoration. So I think being prepared not for that opportunity is, I think, what I would say, if I'm in the production world, I'm kind of trying to look at that and figure out. And on the supply side, we're doing the same thing. We're looking at the supply chain that goes along with that type of business, and saying, what do we need to do from a supply chain standpoint to really enable this print on demand to efficiently flow through and to deliver as volume continues to increase in that space. And we do think it's a lot of it's incremental. We don't think there's a lot of, that's the other kind of exciting part about it. It's not so much just shifting from, I was going to buy 500 of these, now I'll buy 5. It's I'm going to still buy my 500, but I'm going to buy 5, 10, 50 of this, that, and the other, because I can buy lower quantity and I can do more things. I think it makes apparel and decorated products in general more accessible. So that's kind of why we need to figure it out. It's not only that we should, but we need to figure this out, because it does open up a lot more opportunity for the things we do. And so I think it's looking at 20. And again, this has got kind of a 5-year arc on it that looks pretty exciting. But certainly we're kind of in the beginning stages of it, I would say, and kind of in the next 2-3 years, it's going to really take hold. And so I think preparing for that and kind of thinking about where you want to play in that is important, and just getting the lay of the land and trying to understand how it's all flowing. That would be kind of that's what's on our kind of list of like looking out.
Love it.
Top of our list, I should say. We have a long list, but that's the top of it.
Right.
So we talk about, print on demand model, and do you see manufacturers and maybe suppliers at the same time, but mainly manufacturers, they've started to kind of limit their SKUs, pre like 2019 or so, there's a lot of colors, a lot of SKUs. We saw some of that scale back over the past few years, really kind of, I think, based on like supply chain issues and things like that. But I think also, when you look at like print on demand model, if you have too many options, it makes it more complicated, it makes it more difficult to execute well. And I'm just wondering, like, do you think that as manufacturers are maybe thinking a little more carefully about, do we want to offer 72 different colors? Maybe we only need to offer 48 and that's enough. Do you see that just from a supply chain control perspective, or do you think they're also thinking about like how print on demand will continue to grow, and that might be an advantageous direction to go into to try to like push their products over other competitors' products for print on demand use?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think you're right. The primary driver of this, of any SKU rationalization that's been happening on the manufacturer side, was primarily supply chain driven. We've been pushing for it for years because we think there's a mass proliferation of styles and colors. So I think it's probably mainly supply chain driven. on the print on demand side, I think from a manufacturer's point of view, it would really be more around fabrication and the products that actually can most effectively, print digitally and hold that digital print well. And I would think if they start to prepare for print on demand, it's more around fabrication probably than the SKU rationalization. But we certainly
and have inventory.
We got to have the inventory. Yeah, that was a supply chain issue. It's like we got to have this stuff. So we don't need 100. We just need 12, and we need hundreds of thousands of 12 of these things. But yeah, so I think that's probably the main driver. But if print on demand is also a driver, then I would support that as well. We'll use an excuse to sort of say, hey, we don't need 1,000 colors of this probably. That being said, one thing that it's an interesting point though on print on demand, because right now I would say that in many cases, and there's a few different models of print on demand, insourced, outsourced, things like that. That there are probably kind of limited SKUs there, and because you kind of have to have inventory and things like that to deal with the SLAs tied. So that's one thing we're looking at, is trying to really streamline our supply chain to decorators to enable them to offer more styles and more colors and not be limited. So by looking at kind of our delivery and being able to facilitate a low, no inventory print on demand model, which I think is another really key enabler, because a lot of decorators, kind of most of them and most people in general don't want to carry tons of inventory and have that cash tied up, right? So it's almost like in today's world to play in print on demand, you kind of have to be at the ready. If you're on one of these, if you're the recipient of some of these demand from some of these print on demand platforms that are out there driving demand into decorators. So we're really looking at how we can facilitate that low, no inventory model for print on demand to help decorators be able to participate in it and benefit from it, but not be crushed by it from an inventory standpoint.
You want to start barcoding my shirts for me? Stickers on.
That's 2020. No secrets yet. No secrets out yet. So good idea there.
No, I love that. What a great question. Yeah. Thank you for offering your thoughts on that, David, because I think there were probably, Jeff, a lot of other decorators asking that similar question and wondering along the same vein. I think we got to call it a wrap, guys. That was really, really great episode. Thank you for sharing your insights. David, where do people go to learn more?
AlphaRotor.com, of course. Deco Hub, AlphaRotor.com. We've got the Deco Hub there, which we would encourage everyone to take a look at, and also send in questions, send in videos, send in content, send in how-tos, what to, what not to. We're really looking to continue to build up Deco Hub as a repository and a place for folks to go to find information and also share information. So please, AlphaRotor.com, Deco Hub.
Love it. I was on Deco Hub yesterday reading some articles. Really good stuff there. Thank you for all of that, guys. And thank you, Jeff and David, for joining us on the December 2023 Apparelist podcast.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
We will see all of you in the new year. Don't forget also apparelist.com. Plenty of great information there. You can even learn a little bit more about our advisory board members and all of those great resources. So yeah, hope all of you have a great wrap to your 2023 and can't wait to see what 24 has in store for us. Thanks, guys.